video. The hadith, which is narrated by Abdullah ibn Masud, a companion of the Prophet and one of Islam's most reliable and trustworthy transmitters of hadith, goes as follows. Brace yourself. Abdullah begins by telling us that Muhammad called on him to accompany him on a trip into the desert. When they reached a certain place and night had fallen, Muhammad made a line in the sand, most likely a circle, and told Abdullah, quote, "Stay behind this line and do not cross it, for if you do, you will die." Muhammad then left his startled companion and walked into the desert night, about the distance of a hurled stone, says Abdullah. Before long, our narrator saw a group of men, he does not specify how many, who, quote, appeared to be al-Zutt. He describes them as, quote, tall, lean, and naked. Other Islamic sources say these Zutt were a black-skinned people, and we'll get into that later. After describing them, Abdullah goes on, and here's the problematic part, to say, quote, they went to and began to ride the Prophet of Allah. Literally, that's what the Arabic says. These tall, black, naked men rode Muhammad. The Arabic word yarkabun, which I will presently discuss, can also be translated as mounted. And they did this all night long, says Abdullah. During which time they would also come and circle around and try to reach him, but they were prevented, apparently from the line of protection Muhammad had drawn in the sand for his companion. Abdullah concludes his narration, quote, I was extremely terrified by them, so I sat down. With the coming of dawn, they began to depart. Then the Prophet of Allah returned, slowly and in pain, from that which they did while riding him. According to another narration found in several Islamic texts, including Akhbar Mecca by Al-Faqahi, Muhammad complained to Abdullah that, quote, they wounded me all night long, at which point the Prophet proceeds to lay his head and fall asleep in Abdullah's lap. Needless to say, the highly unflattering implications of this hadith are clear. But it becomes even more scandalous once one brings in what several other Islamic reference books and histories say. For starters, who are these al-Zutt, these naked men who rode Muhammad all night long? According to Islam's written records, they were a migrant people from India or modern-day Pakistan, described in the sources as very tall, very dark-skinned, very lean, strong and hardy, and often used for labor-intensive work. In early Arabic ethnographies and literary works, al-Zutt are also depicted as being very sexual and virile, with very large penises. In fact, according to one Arabic source, Al-Tashibbahat by Ibn Abi Awan, quote, the penis of al-Zutt never weakens, meaning their large phalluses never go limp and are ever ready. I'm sorry for the crude language, but this is what the Islamic texts say, verbatim.